The New York Knicks are finalizing a mega trade with the Minnesota Timberwolves that will see Karl-Anthony Towns leave Minnesota, a place where he spent his entire career, and he'll be heading to the Garden. New York will be somewhat breaking up that Villanova Knicks, or maybe New York Wildcats team that they had put together over the last couple years. Donte DiVincenzo and Julius Randle will be the centerpieces of that trade, going over to Minnesota to give Anthony Edwards some new tools, which means, by the way, Naz Reid now knows he is the starting center going forward in Minnesota. Congrats to him. I have a lot of thoughts on this trade. I want to start here by saying, when we start having these conversations of who won and who lost a trade, at the end of the day, this is all just great fodder for podcast and content. The team that won the trade is going to be decided for years to come. Which team's able to keep said player, which team's able to make it the farthest, competing for playoff spots at the cheapest price. That's going to be the end all be all. So we're looking strictly on paper. We're playing NBA 2K here with this right before the season starts. I think on paper, the Minnesota Timberwolves won this trade. Cat is owed about I think it's like $200 million with 4 years remaining on his contract with Minnesota. It felt like the T-Wolves capped out last year, getting past Denver, but then losing to Dallas in a somewhat not even competitive series in a lot of ways, right? So I feel like Minnesota said, okay, how can we get better at what we're great at? And they go out and bring in Julius Randle, which I'm going to talk about him in the Knicks in a second. But from Minnesota's perspective, you go get Randle, who's a dog, right? Now, he's had a couple of unhealthy stints over the last couple of years, but I believe getting him out of New York and sending him over to Minnesota, I think is going to get him right back focused, locked in where he needs to be. You're going to put him next to Ant-Man, who's shining, becoming one of the NBA's brightest young superstars of the league. I like this for Minnesota. I'm a big Naz Reid guy. I feel like Naz Reid is about 75-80% of Cat. You're paying Cat a lot more money than you're paying Naz Reid. It didn't make sense to keep Cat. He was not a lockdown defender. You didn't lose anything by having Naz on the court versus Cat. Hell, Cat fouled out of a lot of games. If you go back and look at the playoffs run Minnesota went on, a lot of those games, Cat didn't play well. There are too many playoff games when I'm looking at Karl-Anthony Towns, and his stat line is 4 for 13, 13 points, 8 rebounds, 9 rebounds. That's not good enough with what he's getting paid. He was just barely a star for Minnesota oftentimes. Bring in Naz Reid, who's a much more versatile player than Cat. I know Cat can shoot it from long distance, but even that is spotty at best. I think Minnesota made a great decision moving in the direction of Naz Reid over Cat. I think Donte DiVincenzo being named first when I read out that trade over Julius Randle from what Minnesota is getting just tells you how high I am on him. Putting him next to Ant-Man, I think Edwards really needs one of these guys that's going to work hard and give it everything they got every single damn possession. DiVincenzo was a huge piece to the Knicks that tried to make a run last year in the playoffs. They just were depleted with injuries. We're going to talk New York in a second, like I said. But from Minnesota's perspective, I think they got better. I really do. I think DiVincenzo will be a nice combo guard to put next to Ant-Man and aging Mike Conley. I like the trade for Minnesota. I really do. I think it gives them something new as a fan base to look forward to. And it makes them, to me, a contending team. Randall's going to age. I don't think you're going to have to pay him nearly as much money on his next contract as you pay Cat and would have had to pay Cat going forward since you signed Cat to so many years a couple years back, right? I like this for Minnesota. Now let's swing over to New York. I got to be honest with you. Coming off of the Mikal Bridges trade, I was looking forward to watching the Villanova Knicks hit the court. I wanted to see the whole thing because my take, and it's not so hot of a take, I think Tom Thibodeau, if he doesn't get it right with this team, he's going to be out and Jay Wright's going to be in. So I would have liked to see Jay Wright get a run at all of his guys, right? I wanted to see that. Dante's out now, which probably lessens the chance that Jay's going to come in and coach this team in a year's time. We shall see. But I have to be honest, when I think about this, the New York Knicks going into this season with Randle and Donte DiVincenzo, I mean, Look, Mikal Bridges doesn't get hurt. One of the things that hurt the Knicks was you had injuries all over the place. OG Anunoby went down. By the end of that thing, Brunson was banged up pretty bad. Josh Hart was pretty much playing every position. I think Mitchell Robinson's coming into this season hurt as well. Randle was obviously down. You know, the guys that New York's brought in now, when you bring in a cat, you know, when you bring in when you re-sign OG, hopefully that was a fluke of an injury that he had last year. Some of these guys that the Knicks have now, when you bring in Bridges, there's not going to be enough minutes. So for Dante, he was going to be the odd man out. There's not enough minutes for him when you bring in a guy like Bridges. He's not going to be needed. Like, you've ran out of spots on the court for a guy like him. Assuming the Knicks are healthy, I don't love the cat to New York trade. I can already see this ending bad. His personality in New York, I can see him going 4 for 13 in the Knicks fan base, one of the most passionate in sports. I can see them booing the hell out of Cat. I think New York or Philadelphia for Karl-Anthony Towns is a terrible spot. Either or, for his personality. I liken it to Ben Simmons, if I'm being completely honest with you. I know Cat's been better, more accomplished than Ben, but this could end bad. I think the Knicks got a tad bit softer today, but Cat's talented, and hopefully the pressure of playing every night in the Garden takes his game to the next level. That's what I think Cat needs. I feel like too many nights in Minnesota, Cat took him off. And with New York, there are no nights off. He's going to have immense pressure. You know, when you think about it offensively, this dude's no longer going to be a top 2, top 3 option. You know, with New York, I mean, on a lot of nights, if Josh Hart's got it going, he could be the 3rd option, which pushes Cat back to the 4th. I don't know if the Knicks are going to run an offense through Cat. I don't know. I think everything kind of rolls pick and roll with Brunson, and it doesn't have to be Cat in that pick and roll scheme or pick and pop scheme. You could roll with Mitchell Robinson. They got a couple of bigs, right? Like, I know they lost Hartenstein as well this offseason, but I feel like the Knicks took a chance at being great going and getting Cat. And I don't know if it's going to pay off or not. I don't. Some of the details of this trade are still being worked out as this moment. We'll see. I think Charlotte's going to be involved in the trade as well. I don't love this trade for the Knicks. I love the moment they got Mikal. I thought it was going to be great to see all these Villanova dudes in New York. I understand what the Knicks were doing. Honestly, I couldn't see a scenario. I think I said this a couple months back. I just couldn't see a scenario where Randle walked into the season with this team. So I'm not surprised he got traded. Minnesota stepping up and trading Cat is a shocker for me. Let me know your thoughts. Big time trade out of the NBA. Big time trade. As training camp is underway, man, the Knicks and T-Wolves flip Cat and Randle. It is crazy times. I'm not even gonna lie, man. When I saw Sham Charania break this story, he does a phenomenal job. But this was a Woj type of story, and the fact that Woj is gone was pretty sad. I ain't gonna lie. If you're watching this video on Hoops Ferro YouTube channel, I know it's been spotty at best with the videos. We're going through some changes with this platform. My contract with the NBA, with the highlights that I do night in and night out of the season, has expired. And at this current moment, I don't know if the NBA is going to redo this deal that they've been doing with creators. I'll let you guys know once I get an update. Some of the stuff that Chris Smooth was talking about last year, for all my hoop fans out there, I think I'm dealing with some of the same stuff. Maybe not everything, but some of. Thank you for being loyal. I don't know exactly what the future of this channel looks like because of some of this stuff. Once I get word, I will 1,000% let you know immediately what I'm planning to do. The NBA season is close. I got partnerships and stuff at stake, so I got to do something. I'm just kind of trying to test the waters a little bit over the next month and see what you guys like and see how can I deliver content surrounding basketball in the season to you guys. And it's got to make financial sense to me, which is, it's like time, right? It's the one thing we can't make more of. So I'll let you guys know what I come up with. Thank y'all so much for riding with your boy. Time, love, and support with your boy. We'll never take for granted. Let me know your thoughts on this trade. I'm out. All right, y'all. The NFL season is here. Head over to Underdog Fantasy. Use my promo code Ferro. You can already make your picks for the entire season. Here are some guys that I believe are going to have great years. If your picks are correct, you're going to win a lot of cheese. Use my promo code Ferro. Tell me when you did it. I might even give you a free copy of Madden 25 or NCAA College Football 25.